everyone, welcome to day 5 of Vlogoween. I kind of feel like I need to scream because the pilots are practicing for Fleet Weekend. So it's just suddenly very loud for chunks of time today. I just got done making some copies downstairs and Mr. Ring, one of the calculus teachers at Gal, was like, Grishma, I saw your video from yesterday. I just want to let you know there's 204 students taking AP Calculus. So correction, minor edit, there's like 70 more students than I estimated taking AP Calculus, which is just still so unbelievable. This weekend is going to be Fleet Weekend and the Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival. So it's going to be insane in San Francisco. But thankfully, I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be in Phoenix and I'm really excited. So remember that cinnamon bread I got a few days ago? Well, I started eating it today and I ate this much since this morning. Like I didn't even eat my lunch because I just had this bread. And I've like left myself a prepared bite because I like couldn't stop eating. Actually, I'm gonna eat this right now. It's so good. So good. If you're going to Trader Joe's, just try it. It's got like actual chunks of apple in it. So it's kind of got some vitamins and it's not just a loaf of sugar bread. But hey, even if it is just a loaf of sugar bread, eat some sugar bread. It's the day of the harvest moon, man. You gotta fill your belly up with all the harvests of the season, right? Oh, I hate this. I don't know if you can hear just the continuous ringing of a plane 2 feet away from our school. But that has been my day, and it's only gonna get more intense tomorrow because they practice all their like fancy stunts the day before the weekend. We have a Psat Proctor meeting today after school, and then a staff meeting after school, and then the fencing club. I'm sponsoring the fencing club this year, and I don't know how to fence, but I'm learning, and it's actually super fun. I've been having some of the upperclassmen from the club teach me how to fence because, I mean, they're right there, and it's usually more fun than what I'm doing in here, which is usually grading. And you remember how much I hate grading, so I'm always looking for something to do instead of it. I sponsored the club because a couple of my former students needed somebody to sponsor the club, and I was like, all right, I can do it. And it's not something I think I would have ever sought out myself. Like, fencing is not a thing I would have ever started out of school. But I'm glad to be a part of it. So I've learned how to on guard, and I haven't yet learned how to retreat, so I can only fence on the offensive. I only know how to go forward. I don't know anything else. But it's super fun so far. So yeah, I'll be here for a while after school and then get all of my like errandy things done, and I'll get my grades posted on time. So yay, that'll be done. Well, I spoke too soon. My staff meeting ended up taking just the right amount of time, but I had a Psat Proctor meeting because the PSATs are next Wednesday, and since I primarily teach sophomores, I will be proctoring the exam in my room, and I thought the meeting would only take like 10 or 15 minutes, but it ended up taking almost an hour. So didn't make it to fencing practice, unfortunately, but there's always next week. This is also why I didn't learn how to retreat yet. They're doing something called lunges now, so I feel like I'm falling behind, even though I'm not on the team. But I'm hoping I can just pick it up as I see other people doing it. So one strategy that I wanted to share with you today, and I have seen a number of teachers do this in a bunch of different ways, but one of the teachers at my school actually does it in a way that is extremely structured, which I like. So I'm just using her method for it basically. So it's something called a shuffle quiz. It has the word quiz in it, but I don't use it as a quiz grade. I know some teachers do use it for quizzes, but I use it to just kind of promote better group dynamics when we're doing group tasks or group work together. So here's an example of a task card that students would have that goes along with an activity. So each group would have one of these papers and they would write their table number here at the top, and then they would choose one of the following roles. I'm not going to get into the roles and how they're organized because I just want to focus on the shuffle quiz portion of it. But basically, let me go get the other paper. Basically, they have this set of questions that they were going to work on as a group. This is for my Algebra 1 ELD class, so there's a lot of language supports that I include with this, and I can tell you more about that on a different day. So each student has an individual sheet like this that has the questions that they're going to work on. The expectation again is that students are working on one question at a time. Each pair of students has this, and it has some helpful words that they can use to practice sharing their answers. And basically, here were the instructions for today's task. We must take turns to read a situation to our group. The order of reading will be the facilitator, then the resource manager, then the team captain, then the recorder. We will answer questions together, then we will take turns explaining the answer in our own words. It is important that we understand the answer when Ms. Singh comes for a checkpoint. After everyone has written their answer and practiced saying it aloud, we can move on to the next question. So this thing, checkpoint, is where I do the shuffle quiz, and this can be done at any time. So I have basically these 4 cards where I have written out their team names. I just never seem to have index cards, so I'm using old, lost book forms for this, but I like the color, and it depends on how you want to do it. Because this is an ELD class, I want to make sure their affective filter is lower, and so that they're not so nervous about being called on that their mind just goes blank. And I'll say, okay, the question that I will ask you is, how far does CC run in 8 seconds? You may use these words to help you answer this question so the students can look at this. And then I'll just shuffle these cards behind my back, and then I'll say, okay, so the facilitator, you are going to answer this question for me. And then the facilitator, whoever's role that was, will answer the question. I could say, see, so she has a note that X represents your independent variable, and this one happened to be per hour. Y represents the dependent variable, and it happened to be miles. So if I were to do a checkpoint for this question, I might ask, tell me what the slope is and how you know that this number is the slope. And I would like to hear from shuffle, 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 team captain. Team captain, please tell me. And then they would answer. And if they're able to answer it correctly, then I give them a little stamp. And if they are not able to answer it correctly, then, can't show you their names. On a fresh sheet, anytime a group gets it, their maximum score can be 100%. And then if they miss a checkpoint, then I cross off whatever the highest one is, so their maximum score would be a 95. If they miss it again, then their maximum score would be a 90. And it goes in increments of 5 until we get to 70, 60, 50. Can't get lower than a 50% because I'm assuming you're at least trying. Most groups usually get 85 or above. Groups that are working really well together will usually get 90 or 95 for the day, sometimes 100. And groups that are having a more challenging time working together and collaborating can get anywhere from 80, 85. I haven't really had groups take less than 70 because I feel by that point they know that no, really every single person needs to know how to explain it before we call the teacher over and before we move on to the next question. So there's a lot of other layers and a lot of other systems that are there to help students stay accountable and make sure that we're creating opportunities for rich, rigorous discussions between students, and basically that the teacher is not talking, the students are doing all of the talking, right? Which is just good teaching. It's one way of creating that sense of urgency and accountability that even if I'm not standing immediately next to the group, it helps them stay focused, and it helps them check in with each other that, hey, facilitator, you might get called on, and I noticed that you are looking off to the side. Let's engage you back in the conversation and make sure that you understand it. And again, yeah, I didn't invent this. I've seen the other teachers do this, and I've borrowed this from other teachers at my school. I just lost my train of thought. I have no idea. I need to go home. Because I need to not be at work, because if I stay here any longer, that will be the end of me. But yeah, I hope you had a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.